Over the last century, water managers have been working to ensure that most people in Arizona can turn on the faucet in their kitchen and clean water will come out. But now we are facing new challenges that will require us to build on this previous work to ensure this easy access to water continues for this century. What was done over the last century was infrastructure and technology, reservoirs, canals, plants, and pipes out of sight for the average water user. Today, most people have a knowledge level of water that is low, but the actions we take in the future will need to be less technical and more focused on people's behavior and their values. Everyone will need to be involved and know more about water issues and water management. Not everyone has the same needs for water, and thus people's viewpoints about water sustainability will be different. It will also not be possible to optimize water management to satisfy everyone's desires for water. Thus, compromise will be required. Compromise will require people to understand multiple viewpoints of water beyond their own needs. This last section of looking at Arizona's complex water system will examine perspectives. As we have discussed, planning for water sustainability is not simple for several reasons. The systems that support water supply and water demand are highly complex and dynamic. It's difficult to fully understand how they work and interact with other issues. The future of water supply and demand is not easy to forecast. People use water in different ways, and their views of what is sustainable water differ from person to person. Because of the complexity of water systems, the uncertainty about the future, and the differing viewpoints, it is not possible to manage water to optimize everyone's viewpoints. There will always be a need for trade-offs. We have looked at the current use of water across Arizona and the varying patterns of use. We have considered what a downward trend in GPCD would look like as our rates go lower and lower. We have considered what some of these trade-offs might look like. The factors and issues surrounding water demand can be complex, and there is also uncertainty associated with future water demand. There are many unanswered questions. It is unclear what the future will bring. Uncertainty about the future is not the only reason planning for water sustainability is difficult. Water gets used for many different purposes and in many different ways. Each purpose has its own unique context and issues, and people managing water for these purposes have a different viewpoint on how water should be managed to be sustainable. Farmers use water to grow things. To them, it's a business in which they grow things to sell and generate revenue. Water is an essential resource to this business, which must be delivered to where their crops are growing. It represents a cost for their business, which cannot exceed the revenue for selling their crop. Their viewpoint on water sustainability is to ensure adequate water is available when they need it for their crops to grow and at affordable prices to allow them to sustain their business. Industrial users need water to sustain their business as well. They need water where their industrial operations are located at a price that allows them to sustain their business. In the past, Native American tribes were often left out of water negotiations and continue to have to fight to secure their water rights and access to water. Water is used in tribal communities to support everyday water needs, as well as agriculture, and also for cultural uses. Native Americans view water as necessary for quality of life and economic development, but also as sacred. Urban water managers are managing water supplies and water demand in their communities to ensure that there is an optimal balance for all of their customers, the residents and businesses of their community. Each of these customers has a different need for water and their own perspectives on sustainable water management. The urban water manager must try and meet each of these different needs. Often, the water needs of the environment are not at the table when we discuss water management. But the environment's water needs are also important for a number of reasons. The natural environment sustains resources we all use for recreation. It also provides natural services such as cooling hot environments and cleaning polluted air and water. Water is essential to sustain these services and recreational opportunities. Like residents of urban areas and tribal communities, rural residents need water for everyday uses, and sometimes for agricultural uses. Elected officials manage water issues in rural areas, and priorities on how to use water may differ greatly from person to person in an area. In areas of greater water scarcity, competition for water resources can arise.